Click કરું છું ફરીથી. Okay, I've clicked on it.
Yes, everything is good now.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Thank you.
Jai Jai everyone. Let me ask Dilip uncle, who is a Jaina past president and current uh, chairman of Overseas Relation Committee. Dilip uncle, welcome, and you can introduce the speaker.
Jai Jinendra, sorry for the delay. We experienced some technical difficulties today. Nevertheless, I'm very happy to introduce Manish Bhai Modi from Mumbai to give the 8th day pravachan for this Lakshan. Manish Bhai and his grandfather and his father, they have been the booksellers in Mumbai, about the only source of getting Jain books in Mumbai. In not just Gujarati, just Hindi, but in Gujarati, Hindi, English, and other languages too. They do also sell books that have Sanskrit and other languages, dictionaries. It is a wonderful resource. I think Mumbai would be poor without Manish Modi's dedication to the literature and to Jain Dharma. So I'm very happy to introduce Manish Bhai. Welcome, Manish Bhai.
Thank you. Jai Jinendra. Namo Aryantanam, Namo Siddhadam, Namo Airiyadam, Namo Uvajjhayadam, Namo Loe Sabbasahunam. Eso Panch Namo Yaram, Savvapava Papanasanam, Mangaladam Chasabvesam, Padno Kavi Mangalam. Khame mi Savva Jive, Savve Jiva Kvantume, Mitti me Savva Bhuvesu, Veram Majjam Nagine. Mangalam Bhagavan Viro, Mangalam Gautama Prabhu, Mangalam Kundu Kundadyo, Jaina Dharmostu Mangalam. Arihanta Mangalam Nityam, Siddha Jagati Mangalam. Mangalam Sadhave Sarve, Jaina Dharmostu Mangalam. Sarva Mangala Mangalyam, Sarva Kalyana Karakam, Pradhanam Sarva Dharmanam, Jainam Jaitu Shasanam, Jainam Jaitu Shasanam. Jainam Jayatu Shasanam. The 9th day of the Paryushan Parv. As I said earlier, it's such a beautiful time of the year where all of us suddenly remember that we are Jains. I think out of the 365 days in a year, it's only 18 days. The 8 days of Shwetambar Paryushan, 10 days of Digambar Paryushan. It's only these 18 Paryushan days that the world sees us as Jains, and we suddenly start seeing ourselves as Jains. The rest of the time, we are Jains by the accident of birth, or some of us by dietary rules. Most of us are Jains only on these 18 days. It's not just about going to a temple, going to an upashraya. It's about focusing on the self. Jainism is the religion of the self-reliant, the Shraman, and it focuses on self-realization. Samyak Darshan. Now this focus has to be constant, and it can only be there when you're constantly pondering on the soul, constantly trying to attain oneness with the soul. Jainism is about be yourself and know yourself. And for that, you have to know yourself. So unless your quest is the Satya ki Khoj, the quest for the truth, you will not know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, then what are you doing? Our entire journey on planet Earth, whether it's 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, okay? If we have not discovered who we are, we have not gotten to know who we are, no, what have we achieved? Zilch, zero, nada, nothing. The only thing that is worthwhile in this earth, during this lifetime on earth, is knowing the soul, knowing the self, and attaining oneness with it. The entire process can be summed up in the Ekatva Bhavana, where you're saying that I am only the soul and nothing but the soul. All the entire focus of my existence is my soul, because this body is not mine. Therefore, all the connection with the body, the family, the friends, the money, the wealth, the home, the business, nothing is mine. It doesn't belong to me. I have nothing to do with it. The soul binds good and bad karmas on its own. It wanders through beginningless sansar on its own. It takes birth alone. It dies alone. And the soul enjoys or suffers the consequences of all of this on its own. No one else, not your best friend, not your best mate, not your enemy, not your wife, not your girlfriend, not your parents, not your children, not your loved ones, not your mates, not your neighbors, not your colleagues. No one can be with you on this journey. It's a solitary journey. Even those who love you the most on this earth, your parents, they cannot be with you on this journey. You will bind good and bad karmas on your own. You will wander through sansar on your own because you're an individual. You will take birth alone. You will die alone. And all that you do in terms of thoughts, words, and deeds will generate consequences, karmic consequences, which you yourself shall have to suffer. No one else will bear those consequences. You are completely alone. The soul, under the influence of sensual gratification and impelled by intense greed for sensual satisfaction and to acquire more material wealth, shall continuously bind papa karmas, continuously. As a consequence, it suffers rebirth either as a one-sensed being or in hell, or worse, in indigo. Who's binding this? The soul. No one else but the soul. Under the influence of dharma, the soul is impelled to help the worthy and committing good deeds. As a consequence, the soul will bind good karmas and be reborn either in heaven or as a human being inclined towards dharma. A sadhu with samyak darshan is the uttam patra. If you must serve someone, serve the uttam patra. The next best uttam patra is a shravak or shravika with samyak darshan. The key point is samyak darshan. The best patra is a sadhu with samyak darshan. The next best patra is a shravak with samyak darshan. The third, the least acceptable but still acceptable patra is a shravak, is a person with samyak darshan, but it does not follow the vows of being a shravak. Those who lack samyak darshan, one should not serve them. they are not the ideal partner to serve. Sure, we can help them out of compassion, but service to the worthy can only be done to the Uttam, Madhyam and Jaganya who are Samyak Drishti. Someone who's not Samyak Drishti, serving him will not be called service to the worthy. It can be done out of compassion. That's perfectly okay. Like when you give blood to someone, you're not looking for a Samyak Drishti. Someone tells you that, okay, this person's in a hospital, they need blood. You go and rush and donate your blood. I try to donate blood 3 times a year. And I have a very good common blood group called B positive. It's very common in India. So I try to make it a point to donate blood 3 times a year. I could not during Corona, but now I've begun once again. There you're not going to see whether this guy is Samyak Darshan or not. That's done out of compassion. But when you look at service to the worthy, it means serving someone who has Samyak Darshan. Those who don't have Samyak Darshan can never attain liberation. There's a famous gatha by Acharya Kundukund in the Barsana Vekha. I think everyone has heard this gatha before. It's very, very famous. Dansan bhatta bhatta. Dansan bhattas rathina bhanam. Sijjanti chari bhatta. Dansan bhatta na sijjanti. Which means those who are devoid of Samyak Darshan are deluded and shall never ever attain Samyak liberation. Unless they attain Samyak Darshan. But if they don't have Samyak Darshan, they will never get moksha. Those who lack perfect conduct, but they have Samyak Darshan, they can one day acquire perfect conduct and attain liberation. But those who don't have Samyak Darshan shall never ever attain liberation. Without Samyak Darshan, there is no moksha. Who am I? I am alone. I am detached. I am pure. Only Gyan and Darshan, knowledge and perception are my attributes. That's my only Lakshan. Gyan and Darshan. This is why the solitariness of the self is worth assimilating. One should constantly contemplate on the oneness, the solitariness of the self. There's this beautiful quote by Hunter Thompson on solitariness. We are all alone. We were born alone. We die alone. And in spite of the magazines, we shall all someday look back on our lives and see that in spite of our company, we were alone the whole way. I do not say lonely, at least not all of the time, but essentially and finally alone. This is what makes your self-respect so important. And I don't see how you can respect yourself if you must look in the hearts and minds of others for your happiness. If you base your happiness on the opinion of others, you're bound to live in misery. There is no other way out. You have given the keys of your happiness to a second person, to a third party. How does that even work? Acharya Pujyapad has talked so beautifully about the solitariness of the soul and the transience of human transactions through the analogy of birds roosting on a tree. This is Shlok 9 of the Ishtopadesh, where he says, birds gather together to pass the night on a tree. They come from various places and from different directions. But at the earliest moment of dawn, they depart in pursuit of their diverse purposes, their diverse lives. They go to different places in all directions. They're only together to pass the night on the tree. That is what human life is like. Your parents, your family, children, they are together with you for a short duration. After that, they part. One by one or together, they will part. You were born alone, you will die alone. And for the most part, your thoughts, in your words, in your deeds, in your karmas, in the consequences of bearing those karmas, you're alone. Focus on this. Never lose focus on this. There's a story about the great sage Valmiki, and who wrote the Ramayana, the Adi Kavi Valmiki, the great Sanskrit poet. Now it is said that before he became this great poet, he was a highway robber. He used to murder people and steal their goods, loot them, murder them, and profit from that money, and made his family rich. And then when one day the sage Narada came across him, and Narada says, "Oh Valmiki," Valmiki means a robber, in fact. So Narada says, "Oh Valmiki, what do you think you're doing?" And Valmiki says, "Well, I'm making a living. This is my way of making a living, And Narada says, "You are earning money for your family, right? But who will bear the burden of your sins? You or the family? You will bear it because you have committed the sin, not them." So he says, "No, what rubbish, this is not possible. My family will share the burden. They are enjoying the profits of my misdeeds." So he rushes home and asks them. And they say, "No, we will not partake in your sins. We will partake of the profits of your sins, but we will not partake in your sins." And Valmiki says, "Well, then why am I sinning? I am doing all this for my family, but my family doesn't care enough for me. They will not partake in my sins, then why should they partake in my profits? Therefore, I will stop being a robber." He went on to study. He became a great sage and a great poet and gave us this wonderful epic called the Valmiki Ramayana. Ultimately, we have to bear the consequences of all our actions. We ourselves are the enjoyers and sufferers of our actions. No higher authority can forgive or absolve our karmas. There is no one else. We are responsible. Jain religion is a religion, it's a dharma. We have our Tirthankars as our gods. But it's not it's the reality that there is no God who fixes things for you. Other religions may perhaps believe in a God who fixes things for them. Jain religion, the Jain Dharma says, you are responsible for all your actions. If you make a mistake, you will bear the consequence. You do something right, you will profit. There is no one else. No one else can, take on suffering. No one else can do that. No one else can take on our suffering. No one else can take on our sorrows. How can anyone else do that? To even expect that is folly. Let me give you an example. Now, if I constantly eat junk food and I don't exercise at all and lead a sedentary lifestyle, I'm going to fall sick, I'm going to become fat, and I will be prey to all kinds of diseases. High cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, heart-related ailments. Naturally. For that, I will have to take up horribly bitter medicine, give up junk food, exercise. Why not do that? You can't ask someone else to do that. If you want to lose weight, can you ask someone else to go to the gym on your behalf? To exercise and diet on your behalf? You can't. You got to do it yourself. The same with spiritual health. If you bound karmas, you will have to shed them yourself. No one else can do that for you. No one else. This is the Ekatva Bhavana. Our karmas cannot be assigned to anyone. They can never be forgiven, exonerated, or pardoned by God's grace. We will have to do the Pratikraman ourselves. We will have to do the Pratyakhyana ourselves. We will have to attain Samayik Bhav and Samvar ourselves through our own efforts, not through someone else's efforts. No divine grace can bestow any boons or favors. We have to do it ourselves. And we know this in real life. Whatever we have achieved is on our own steam. Yes, our parents have blessed us, our gurus have blessed us, they've encouraged us, our friends have encouraged us, we have mentors who've guided us. But we had to do it ourselves. No one else can do it for you. The most conscientious parent can give his children admission in a good school, make him attend a good class, pay his fee, give him a comfortable room, give him a desk and a chair, give him books and pens and papers and a laptop if needed. But who has to study? The child or the parent? The child will have to study. Similarly, we have to shed our karmas. No one else can do it for us. We alone have to strive for liberation, and we alone have to bear the consequences of our actions. This darkness can be broken by following the teachings of the Tirthankars. The Tirthankars have lit the path and led the way and attained liberation themselves by walking this path. So we have guidance from the Tirthankars on how to walk this path, how to break the shackles of karma, how to attain Samyak Darshan, how to attain moksha, and the everlasting bliss of moksha. This path is given in the teachings of the Tirthankars. Study them. It has been put in a very simplified manner as a universal law. It's a universal operating system applicable to all. It's been compiled by Jayesh Bhai. It's been compiled by him, not written by him, because all these teachings have been given by the Tirthankars. Wherever you see goodness, wherever you see kindness, wherever you see compassion, wherever you see the truth, know that this is coming from the Tirthankars. Everyone has learned from the Tirthankars. They were the source of all that is good, all that is kind, all that is perfect, all that is blissful. Because they are the Tirthankars, the omniscient ones. We are so fortunate that we follow in the path, in the footsteps of the Tirthankars. I cannot emphasize enough how fortunate we are, how blessed we are that we follow in their footsteps. They have given us everything we need to. Now it's up to us to walk on this path. No one else can walk this path for us. We will have to walk ourselves. We have to ensure that while we are walking on this path, we do not get caught up in sectarian politics. Because when we do paksh, when we develop a bias towards any one sect, any one tradition, we are diminishing our chances for liberation. Because when you do paksh, you're bound to be reborn in the same paksh, because that's what you want, right? Law of attraction. So your only attraction should be towards attaining the truth. Mujhe satya chahiye. That's when you ensure that you will be reborn on the path of liberation. Otherwise, you keep getting rebirth in the same paksh that you were born in. I don't want to be reborn at all. I want moksha. We have various sampradayas and traditions and sanghs and sects and all of these things in every religion. Fine, it's okay. These are all social divisions. It doesn't change the universal law. This is fine at the social level that you belong to a certain sect, a certain tradition. That's perfectly okay. Feel free, follow all the systems and rituals of your sect, and that's perfectly okay. But forget not that your path is moksha, that your laksh is moksha. And to attain moksha, you will have to attain samyak darshan. Don't forget that. And first and foremost, you will have to focus on the ekatva bhavna, because you were born alone, you will die alone. And nothing changes that. We have, for unending, for an eternal period of time, we have identified with the body, with connections with the body. I belong to this family, my parents are so and so. I belong to this city. This is my hometown. This is my place. This is my country. This is my city. This is my religion. This is my sect. And then we keep being born there because that's what we wanted. When will you attain liberation? When you keep identifying with non-self items. We have to identify with the self, with the soul. That is the crux of the ekatva bhavana. Only my soul, only the Shuddhatma is my shelter. And when my entire thoughts are focused on the Shuddhatma, on my soul, on the core of my consciousness, that's when I am closer to liberation. That is the ekatva bhavana. Next is the anyatva bhavana, otherness with the body. Ekat is oneness with the soul. Anyatva is otherness with the body. When you start thinking of who am I, main kaun hu, that's when you realize that you are the soul. The body is not yours. Then therefore, what is my connection with the body? I am different from the body. Even the very karmas the emotions that you feel and the inflow of karmas that it causes, you're not those karmas. They are bound to you, but they are not you. You are not them. You are separate and distinct from them. When you learn to differentiate your soul from the karmas it is bound, and you experience that soul, actually experience the oneness with that soul, that is known as samyak darshan, and that is the method of attaining samyak darshan. That should be the one and only purpose of your existence. Since the beginningless time, we have done oneness with karmas, with the body, with external objects. And that is why we have been suffering endlessly. We've been identifying with the body, with wealth, with family, with friends, with community, and we've been miserable. How long do you want to suffer? How long do you wish to be miserable? How long do you want to continue to identify with things that are not you? we must realize that even the people we hold the most dear, our parents, our spouse, our children, they're not us, they're different from us. We have to practice the anyatva bhav from them. And we are free to do so. Nowhere does the universal law say that you must not take care of your parents or your family or your commitments to your society, to your country, to your colleagues. But they are not you. So don't make the mistake of doing anyatva, of doing ekatva with them. Don't identify with them. Realize that they're different from you and do what you need to do, considering them that to be a duty, not identifying with them. All the anger and anguish and debate and the hatred and the fights we get into is because we identify with non-self objects. It is not ours. We do our duty and we leave it there. It's beyond our domain. We can explain things to others with great love and affection. We can inspire them, but we cannot command them. Try this at home. Try commanding your wife. Try commanding your children. It doesn't work. You must fulfill all your duties and obligations towards them. And if for that you sometimes have to take a firm stand, you take that firm stand. But even there, be careful that you're not hurting someone's feelings. And make sure that you never ever perpetuate an injustice against anyone. One must respect the freedom, individual freedom of all living beings, whether they belong to society or to country or to your religion. We must respect their freedom of thought. We cannot impose our views and our values and our biases, most especially our biases on others. Otherwise, we too shall have to suffer from this. This is the law of karma. You impose things on others, it will come back to you 100-fold, 1,000-fold. You don't want other people imposing things on you. You don't impose your thoughts, views on others. We are all suffering from delusion, right? That delusion stops you from experiencing the self, experiencing the soul. You can get rid of delusion when you remain focused on the anyatva bhavna, the ekatva and anyatva bhavna. Because the ekatva will help you identify with who you are. The anyatva will stop your false identification. And when you stop identifying with the non-self objects, your moha or your delusion shall fall away. Because it's not you. It's an external condition. It's not you. So everything that you feel connected with, whether it's your body, your possessions, your family, all your identities, when you apply the anyatva bhavna, you'll find that none of them are you. None of them are an inseparable, inalienable part of you. So then decide who you are and what it is that you belong to and what it is that belongs to you. Other than the body, everything else is evidently not yours. It's so evident. I may be the member of a club, a member of 2 different clubs. I may own a bookshop. I may own a car or a scooter or a bicycle or skates or whatever. I know they're not mine. I have a pen in my hands. It's not mine. There's a laptop in front of me. It's not mine. It's not me, right? That is manifest. But I'm living on rent inside a receptacle. That too is not mine. And that's the hardest part Trust me, it's the hardest part. We are all so focused on the self, on the body and taking care of the body that we forget that this body is not mine. Once again, I'm not saying that you neglect the body. Give the body the right fuel. It's like when you have a car, you give it the right fuel, right? You give it the correct kind of petrol or diesel that it takes so that it runs efficiently. But do we remember this principle when we go and see a really fancy buffet? Are we thinking that I need to give myself the right fuel? This is a body, it's not mine. Or are we thinking this body is mine, all the pleasures are mine. Therefore, let me gain as much sensual pleasure as I can out of this food. We need to remember that it's not mine. We just need to give the right fuel. I mean, all of us know that when we die, we will depart, the soul, this body will remain behind. We, meaning the soul, will depart, right? The body will remain behind. And what will we do? What will the people around us do? They will take this body and burn it. Even those who love you and are crying and they miss you all their lives, they will take the body and burn it. There's no other end because the body is not you. So why are you wasting your time on something that's not yours? Then why? I mean, this whole, when you look at a person, especially after the age of 40, you spend such a lot of time and energy and effort and money on taking care of his body, on decorating his body. You see all these clinics for Botox, for beauty treatments, spas, salons. Why? Be fit, be healthy. Because this body, you need this body to practice dharma. But beyond that, you don't need it for anything. Focus on the self. That's the most important thing. When you focus on the body, there's only one focus, right? It's either outside or inside. Acharya Pujapad has written this in the Ishtopadesh that when you're looking inwards, you ignore what is happening outside in the external world. But when you focus on the external world, you're ignoring what is happening inside you. Inside you, meaning in the soul. You lose your self-awareness. So, isn't that the most horrible mistake of all? That you lose your self-awareness. Therefore, focus on the self. And all these emotions that we feel, emotions of goodness, badness, kindness, jealousy, krodh, man, maya, lobh, where are they stemming from? My soul is feeling them, yes. But what is causing them? My attachment to non-self objects. My attachment to the anya. When I stop being attached to them, I will stop feeling these emotions within me. It's like, I give you an example that 2 days ago, there was an India-Australia match. India won thumpingly. I was thrilled. Now, tomorrow there may be a New Zealand-England match. What do I care? Similarly, what do I care about what happens to external objects? Why am I binding karmas? When I start identifying with other things, I'm guaranteeing my sorrow. I'm guaranteeing the fact that I will always have ups and downs. I will never be constantly happy. But when you realize that I am Anadi Anant, I am eternal, beginningless and endless. The real me, my soul, can never fall sick. It can never die. When you know this, you know that all the emotions that I'm going through are not mine because they're not permanent, right? And only that which is permanent is me. All these impermanent emotions are not mine. Therefore, I should not identify with them. I am manifested in good and bad bhavas because of these emotions that I'm feeling, but they are short term. Therefore, these bhavs are not mine. These emotions are not mine. Only my param paranamic bhav is mine. Nothing else is mine. We must, therefore, experience ourselves without these bhavas which are causing this disturbance in the soul. I must experience myself unmanifested by these bhavas. We can do that when we practice the Anyatva Bhavana. This can ensure that we become free from all sorrows. Because all these sorrows are coming from identifying with the non-self. We'll take this further tomorrow. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer. If not, I'll wind up. Easiest way to summarize: know yourself, know who you are. If you don't know yourself, there's nothing you know. And if you know yourself, you know everything. Ege jane sabde jane. The attainment of moksha is necessary for gaining permanent, eternal bliss. The path leading to moksha is known as the moksha marg. Samyak darshan is the essential qualification. It is the visa for attaining moksha. To attain Samyak Darshan, we must inculcate certain intrinsic qualities in our soul. These are the removal of mundane wishes. We must have unwavering faith in the teachings of the Tirthankars, because they are the Tattva. Tattvat Shraddhanam Samyak Darshanam. And we must conquer the 4 kashayas of Krodh, Man, Maya, Lobh, anger, ego, deceit, and greed. The most powerful inner directional force against Samyak Darshan is mundane desire, the desire for non-self objects, the thirst for worldly pleasures. To get rid of mundane desires from these roots, we have to practice and contemplate on the 12 bhavanas, on the 12 contemplations. Reflect on it, contemplate on it, meditate upon it. It's the most powerful tool to remove delusion and to achieve a state where you transcend mundane desires. This state will serve as the foundation for your path towards liberation. This is the most important thing you could do. So, these 12 bhavanas will help you attain freedom from mundane desires, from identifying with the false objects. And these are things that we follow 24/7, 365. Dharma is not the half an hour or 1 hour you spend in a temple or upashraya or wherever you go to, meditation hall, prayer room. Dharma is what you reflect on constantly, 24/7, 365. I pray that all of us may attain this focus on Dharma and attain Samyak Darshan and Moksha. Om Namah Siddhebhya. Jai Jinendra.
Thank you, Manish bhai. Thank you for your session. Dilip uncle. Dilip uncle.
Yes, thank you, Manish Bhai. Was very enlightening. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jai.
Thank you. Jai Jai everyone.